can outrun a 747. It speeds close to 400 kilometers per hour and accelerate from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds.
It's a rush. If you haven't driven a really fast car, you can't imagine the power.
And everyone said it couldn't be done.
It's a challenge big enough for a lifetime, more or less.
The brainchild of a 22-year-old with no background in the automotive industry, driven by a single motivation. A lifelong ambition to make the greatest supercar in the world. It takes shape as the Koenigsegg Agera. And it's literally one of a kind. Each car is custom built to its owner's desires.
I thought I could make something different.
Enter the mega factory, where automotive dreams become performance car reality. It's breathtaking, obscenely fast. It's the supermodel of the sports car world. It's the Koenigsegg Agera. A beauty that rules the road. The stealth brainchild of business maverick and four-wheel genius, Christian von Koenigsegg. Sneaking in under the radar of automotive giants to make it to the top of its class. The Agera has been named Hypercar of the Year. It's the culmination of a lifetime's passion.
I had the dream since I was a very young boy to build my own cars. And I remember when I was about 5 years old, I went to the movies with my father and saw a Norwegian stop-motion movie about a bicycle repairman who built his own sports car on a mountaintop. And it was really, really well made and very inspiring. The movie's name was Pinchcliffe Grand Prix in English. And I remember walking out of the movies and saying to myself, that's what I want to do when I grow up.
It's not only his car that impresses. Christian von Koenigsegg turned this ambition into action at the age of 22. And what's even more amazing, he did it with no engineering experience, no manufacturing background, and limited funding. But he had no plans to apprentice with the performance car legends. He vowed to design, build, and produce a car of his own.
Well, I thought I could make something different. I didn't have any heritage controlling what my next step would be, but I could kind of start with an open book and just dream up a car that I thought would be perfect.
And he did it in record speed. Creating this supercar masterpiece took Christian von Koenigsegg less than 20 years. An impossible undertaking, overcome by an individual with more drive.
I'm doing this because it's difficult, because it is a challenge, because it's not easy, and it's a challenge big enough for a lifetime, more or less. So, and I like that.
And challenge has proven to be Christian von Koenigsegg's constant companion. He's battled adversity, faced show-stopping hurdles, and overcome tragedy, all in pursuit of this dream. And he creates these dream machines in the most unlikely of mega factories. Koenigsegg is based on a disused Air Force base in the small Swedish town of Ängelholm. Enter the factory, and you get the feeling that something's missing. There are none of these. Robots. Instead, you're greeted by a very different sound. The sound of silence. Because these cars are not mass-produced. They're individually handcrafted by a team of 22 experts, taking up to 12 months to complete. From the state-of-the-art carbon body to the supercharged engines. It's an unlikely way to turn a tidy profit, but at Koenigsegg, this unconventional business model works. Because these are not ordinary supercars. They're individually commissioned works of automotive art with €1 million price tag.
This product is not just a car, it's filled with love and passion, and even our customers share this sensation that we are part of this together. We are a team.
For the first time builder who doesn't have experience to align the body, it will take approximately 2 or 3 weeks just to align the body, because there are some small traps.
After all the painstaking work putting this body together, the next job, taking it apart again. Most cars are painted at the end of their construction. At Koenigsegg, it happens at the start. Mikael Ljungdahl is a master bodyworker.
We prepare the car, we sand down the filler and make the surface even so we can paint it, and we fix all the shapes.
There are no machines to check tolerances. Perfecting these curves takes craftsmanship.
We block it by hand. I feel it by my hand. I did it for 32 years now. So, sensitive hands.
While stations 2 and 3 perfect the exterior, the team at station 4 start on the guts of the machine.
This is how it looks when it arrives to us in production. And on this car, in this station, we put on the whole engine and rear end chassis as a complete chassis, and we put it on the rear end of the car. And the front end is built besides here and put on the car as a complete unit.
This frame is called the monocoque. Like the body panels, it's 100% carbon fiber composite, and it's virtually indestructible.
This is the carbon monocoque frame. This is basically the structure of the vehicle. This manages all of the structural stiffness and all the crash criteria and all of the tolerance control and dimensional control of the vehicle.
It's the safety cage, taking the stress and weight of the car's components. Yet it weighs only 72 kilos. It may never be seen from the outside, but it still gets the same attention to detail as the exterior body panels.
Our customers like the idea that the cars are hand-built, that we really paid attention to every detail on every car and visualize inspection of everything.
And Koenigsegg's customers are as unique as its cars. Only a lucky few can spare the cash needed to own one of these. But for those who can, it's like buying a Picasso. And ironically, these perfect driving machines are so prized, they're rarely driven. The Agera's serene sleekness contrasts starkly with its power personality. This beauty hides a beast within. And it's this man's job to put it there.
I build every engine for the Koenigsegg cars, so I'm the only one.
Agera is a Swedish verb meaning to act. And true to name, these 5-litre turbocharged V8s deliver a massive 940 brake horsepower with 1,100 Newton meters of torque at 6,000 RPM. In other words, it's fast. It accelerates like a rocket and just keeps getting faster.
It's a rush. If you haven't driven a really fast car, I can't imagine the power.
The Agera has a mid-engine design, so the weight of the engine is more evenly distributed along the length of the car, giving a better center of gravity and faster cornering. Great for a racetrack, but not so good for high-speed driving. The problem? It makes the car steering light at full throttle. The solution? Fine-tune the aerodynamics. And the Agera's aerodynamics handle more than road performance. This car is faster at top speed than a 747 on takeoff. Something has to keep it on the ground. The Agera has a very effective wing on the rear of the hood. This, combined with a front splitter and rear diffuser, creates a balanced downforce, forcing the car onto the road, preventing it from literally taking off. Add this to its 100mm maximum ground clearance, and you have exceptional road handling qualities. And the faster you go, the better it gets.
You jump into the car and sit, you notice quite quickly that you're very central in the car, very low, close to the ground, and of course that's to make the car handle perfect.
On the surface, this 5-litre supercharged V8 may look like a regular motor, but it's far from ordinary. These powerhouses generate more horsepower per cylinder volume using less fuel than any other engine in production. The secret to this performance lies in something called the brake mean effective pressure, or BMEP. In a combustion engine, fuel and air is injected into cylinders and ignited, creating explosions that push the pistons down, which rotates the crankshaft and ultimately powers the drivetrain. The BMEP is the average pressure imposed on the pistons consistently from the top to the bottom of each stroke. An average supercar has a BMEP of 17 bar. The Agera has 28, and higher pressure equals greater performance efficiency. Back at Station 4. Axles are made. These shafts are turned by the engine, and they in turn rotate the wheels. Berne Johansson has been working in this building for almost 40 years. He's one of the original aircraft mechanics when the site was still an operational airbase. Finding experienced craftsmen is a challenge for any manufacturer, but to build a Koenigsegg, you need a very different skill set.
The physical work is not hard to train people, but it's important that we find the right team members to join our team. Koenigsegg is all about making dreams come true.
This company has taken giant strides in its short existence, but it almost didn't get this far. By 2003, cars were selling, the business expanded, and Koenigsegg made waves in the industry. Then, tragedy struck.
I just saw Christian saying, no, this cannot be possible.
As unconventional as its backstory is this mega factory's location. Situated on a disused military airfield, complete with a runway, ideal as a test track, and equally perfect when their elite customers want to drop in. But this choice of address was the result of an unexpected tragedy that almost turned the Koenigsegg dream into a nightmare. In 2003, production was in full swing, and Christian was looking to the future. Everything was going well, until Christian received an unexpected phone call. There was a fire at the factory.
It was in 2003, and we got a call from the fire brigade. I just saw Christian saying, no, this cannot be possible. Just will you not be able to take out the fire?
Are the car's unique lights?
This is almost finished new front lamp assembly of the Agera. What I tried to do designing this was to design it without any of the superfluous plastics, coverings and reflectors that a lot of lamps have today.
Like the rest of the Agera, they're made from carbon fibre, but this time in the factory's own carbon workshop. Philip Jepson hand-makes dozens of the Agera's components.
It's a house for the headlight. I put the first layer on it, and this layer you're gonna see, so it must be exactly on the mold.
After 2 more layers, the mold is prepared for baking. This material soaks up the excess resin released during the process. It's then sealed in a vacuum bag and put in the oven. Hours later, this soft material becomes one of the strongest materials on Earth. Philip also makes the rear lamps, the result of yet another unique design. These lamps don't just look good, they help keep the engine cool.
We designed these to be multifunctional, actually having a grill effect and hollow centre, so it actually lets airflow venting from the engine bay.
And oven.
While Philip loads up his oven, at Station 6, PM gets to finish what he started. Only one piece left to put on this car. The bonnet. As soon as he's tightened the screws, PM will find out if his earlier work on Station 2 has paid off. Success. But the job's not over yet. Now every crease, line, opening and attachment is perfected.
First of all, we are putting all the panels on the car, so the bodyworks looks nice and tidy, and all the lines, and do all the adjustments to the car and to the bodies.
Hours, even days, are spent finessing the smallest detail.
The top of the car has to be really smooth, from the front hood to the door and to the back hood as well. Has to look equal. I don't want to have any changes, different angles and such. It has to be smooth and nice. And we have a small line going through the front hood and the door and the back hood as well on the side. Has to look even. I don't want it to change direction from panel to panel. It has to go through all panels.
This team treats every single car as if it were their own. They even wear gloves.
We have some kind of moisture on our hands. We don't want to filthy down the car as less as possible, so that's why we have to use gloves as often we can.
Every time a panel or glass is touched, it's cleaned. And this pristine physique hides a powerful secret. The Agera's precise aerodynamic design and monster engine provides enough power to drive this hypercar to a staggering 440 kilometers per hour. But Christian can't yet prove it. The test track he needs to take the car to its limits is owned by a competitor, and they're not likely to open their doors to another defeat by Christian von Koenigsegg. Although this mega-top speed is possible, for safety reasons, Christian insists that every car is locked at 375. It will only be unlocked if stringent conditions are met, including tyre tread and road conditions. At Station 6, the teams close in on the finishing line. It's time to add the doors. Another concept that many said was impossible. Like all Koenigsegg's, the Agera proudly displays the trademark door. These carbon fibre doors open in a single motion, moving outwards and upwards at a 90-degree angle. Supported by groundbreaking dihedral hinges, which use two parallel arms that rotate on a geared pivot, causing the doors to move in an outward arc. Technological genius, conceived to resolve the simplest of problems.
These very special doors that open up in a very unique way, that actually is a practical feature, because the car is very wide and the doors themselves are very wide, so if we would open them normally, the car would be extremely wide in a parking spot, so you have to park very far away from another car. Now you can park very close because the door doesn't take more space than its own thickness. You don't have to make space to get out of the car because the door moves away from the car in front of the whole door opening.
Practicality is built under the bonnet as well. This is a hypercar with an unusual added extra, a luggage compartment.
We have a very large luggage space for this type of car. It's over 130 liters, so you can actually get a weekend package for two, no problem. That's very unusual.
And in case you're worried about the weather, it can also hold the Agera's removable hardtop. One of the last jobs is installing the Agera's perfectly designed interior.
The interior pieces is quite tricky to line up the stitching and all that, because every single piece is must lining together for all the stitching line.
The interior is called the cockpit, and it's easy to see why. This car is closer in performance to an aircraft than an on-road vehicle. It even has a G-sensor. Take the Agera to top speeds, and it's capable of delivering 1.6 on the G-force scale. Finally, the Agera reaches Station 7 for quality control and sign-off. A job that Christian takes very personally. There is, after all, a little bit of his heart and soul in every vehicle. It takes around 18 weeks for the Agera to turn from a carbon composite frame to this, the ultimate supercar. Christian von Koenigsegg is a man with many rivals, but he has only one enemy: compromise. To sell his cars worldwide, he must face this demon head-on. One of Christian's biggest challenges is something called homologation.
Everything we do is regulated, so it kind of becomes a natural framework that you don't think so much about what would happen if it wasn't there. It's kind of, how do I make the most out of it? And I rarely allow myself to compromise.
Every country in the world has its own vehicle safety and technical regulations. To sell globally, a car must obey each of these rules. Once it does, it's referred to as homologated. To prove it has these credentials, the Agera has to be destroyed.
I was forced to use one car for the whole crash test program, where a normal company of low volume would use minimum 26 cars, because each test destroys a car.
Rear impact of 80 kilometers per hour. Side impacts at 54 kilometers per hour. And a head-on collision. These are just a few of the tortures endured by the Agera. And incredibly, it survived every one. There is no doubt that Koenigsegg's customers are enticed by the raw power of this machine. But pushing this beast to its limits on the open road might leave the driver paying a hefty fine. So if the need for speed becomes overpowering, Koenigsegg has a solution and use their own personal runway as a racetrack.